Sunday Sport now with Matt Connellan and more on the response to Russia. Chelsea fans are wondering what the future holds for their club tonight.
Yes, I'm one of them, Anton, and they sure are. Chelsea has the chance to win a 22nd trophy under the ownership of Roman Abramovich in the early hours of tomorrow morning. But that quest has been overshadowed by the Russian billionaire's decision to relinquish control of the club. When Roman Abramovich bought Chelsea in 2003, the purchase sent shockwaves through European football. He was the first of the mega-rich club owners, now commonplace around the world. Success followed almost immediately, with a first Premier League title in 50 years won in 2005. But now, nearly 20 years after he bought the club and after $2.8 billion of investment, a move potentially as seismic as the purchase itself. The 55-year-old relinquishing control of Chelsea. On the decision, the notoriously private Chelsea owner issuing a rare statement, in part saying, "I have always taken decisions with the club's best interest at heart. That is why I am today giving trustees of Chelsea's charitable foundation the stewardship and care of Chelsea FC. I believe that currently they are in the best position to look after the interests of the club, players, staff and fans." So, what does this mean for the West London club? The statement itself does not provide much clarity on how the arrangement will now work. Abramovich remains the owner, and the club insists it is not for sale. But the decision comes after considerable political pressure from inside the British Parliament. Several Russian entities and individuals have been placed under sanctions, and while Abramovich isn't among them, Labour MP Chris Bryant insists he should be.
Surely Mr Abramovich should no longer be able to own a football club in this country. Surely we should be looking at seizing some of his assets, including his £152 million home, and making sure that other people who've had Tier 1 visas like this are not engaged in malign activity in the UK.
Chelsea has won every available club trophy at least once under the ownership of the Russian oligarch. The first was the 2004 League Cup, the year after Abramovich bought the club, while the win in the FIFA Club World Cup final a fortnight ago completed the set. Early tomorrow morning, there's the chance of another when Chelsea takes on Liverpool in the League Cup final at Wembley. And while that's the focus for the near term, what lies ahead appears very, very unclear. And joining me now to discuss the fallout is Dr. Catherine Ordway, a sports integrity expert from the University of Canberra. Catherine, thanks for your time tonight. Do you think this was a case of Roman Abramovich jumping before he was pushed?
Yes, well, I can understand why he would want to put the focus back onto the football pitch. And in some ways, you could say this was him being transparent and showing who now is going to be taking care of Chelsea Football Club. But on the other hand, there's no condemnation of the Russian government. And on the other, there's also the question of whether the trustees are in fact independent when the chair of the charitable trust is actually a shareholder of Chelsea Inc.
And so do you think the wider sporting world will target Russian interests and connections with Vladimir Putin now?
I think there's no doubt, and there's already been a number of calls. The International Olympic Committee, the International Paralympic Committee, the World Anti-Doping Agency, all of them have made statements against the actions by Russia. What they can do when they're really only one institution in the bigger scheme of things is the bigger question, and I think that's really tough for sport.
Catherine, thank you very much for your time tonight. That was Dr. Catherine Ordway from the University of Canberra. On the pitch now, and there was some welcome good news in the Premier League this morning with the return to action of Christian Eriksen. The Danish international came off the bench for Brentford in their match against Newcastle. He was given a rapturous welcome, and why not? It was his first competitive match since he suffered a cardiac arrest in a European Championships match only 9 months ago. His return wasn't enough to inspire Brentford, though, the Bees losing 2-0 to relegation rivals Newcastle United. At the top end of the table, there were emotional scenes for different reasons on Merseyside. Ukrainian internationals Alexander Zinchenko of Manchester City and Everton's Vitaly Mykolenko embraced before the match. Both teams showed their support for Ukraine before City took the points thanks to Phil Foden's late winner. It extends City's lead to 6 points over second-place Liverpool. To tennis now, and Rafael Nadal has continued his incredible start to the season, winning the Mexican Open. The 35-year-old was too strong for the in-form Brit Cameron Norrie. Nadal's fourth Mexico title comes a full 17 years after his first, which gives him a unique record. He's now both the youngest and oldest man to win the event.
Always is a very beautiful thing when you see tournaments that are growing and are able to keep investing in our sport. That's very important for our sport, and the only thing that we can say is thanks to the organisation here.
The win is also his third title of the season already and extends his career best start to a year to 15 straight wins. The defending NRLW champions, the Brisbane Broncos, have made a winning start to their campaign today. They were too strong for the Roosters, running out comfortable winners. The Dragons won their clash with the Titans, but the real drama came in the day's final game, which the Eels won thanks to a late field goal. In a clash of the NRLW newcomers, Newcastle looked on course for victory, leading 12-6 midway through the second half. But Parramatta hit back to tie the score, and nothing could separate the sides until the dying seconds. Maddie Studden calmly stepping up to calmly slot the match-winning kick. And it's been a busy day in the AFLW too, with St Kilda scoring its first win of the season. The Saints downed the Gold Coast Suns by 3 points. West Coast was thrashed by Brisbane, and Collingwood cemented its spot in the top 6 against the Western Bulldogs. The Pies outscored the Dogs 6-3 in the first half to take control of the match. Jamie Lambert kicked 3 goals, with the 66-point haul the highest ever score by Collingwood. And that's a very busy Sunday in sport, Anton.
It was indeed. Thanks, Matt.